Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. 1923 Season 2 Review. I wish we could spend 10 seasons with Yellowstone's high-stakes Western spinoff after an excellent return. I have to preface this by saying I never watched Yellowstone. I decided to go through the franchise in chronological order, so the prequel spin-off shows were my first gateway into the franchise. And what a treat was waiting for me. Of the two, 1883 and 1923, the latter was the one I loved the most. 1923 did a phenomenal job of exploring how the Dutton family did during the Prohibition era, with a solid ensemble of characters. 1923 Season 2's cast brings most of them back, anchored by strong performances from Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, and Brandon Sklenar. 1923 Season 1 ended with a few major events. Spencer and Alexandra were forced to separate, which I hated to see happen, and the Dutton family had to brace for a winter that promised to be quite harsh. Adding to it, Timothy Dalton's Donald Whitfield paid off the Dutton ranch's debt, which means if Ford's Jacob Dutton does not find a way to raise enough money to pay him back before the time to do so expires, the Duttons will lose their home to the mining tycoon. 1923 Season 2 continues those high-stakes stories to great effect. In true Game of Thrones fashion, winter was coming when we last saw the Yellowstone spin-off series. 1923 Season 2 fully tackles how that changes life at the ranch and presents some unexpected challenges. On a technical aspect, it allows the show to soar. One of my favorite parts of the series is just how gorgeous it looks. There is a very cinematic feel to 1923, with nature playing a key role in the show and motivating many of its characters. Winter paints Montana's backdrops white and offers truly compelling visuals. That said, it is not all pretty. Snowstorms and more dangers are lurking in the vicious season, which allows the show to explore whether the Duttons are really cut for that kind of life amid all the issues they are facing. In the first 3 episodes of Season 2 I watched for review, those questions are explored in quite a few different ways. I was surprised to see how many new problems could come out of the winter setting, and I truly think it changes the show for good, offering exciting new obstacles for the Duttons. The snowy Montana is not the only location we explore in 1923 Season 2. After we last saw them at the end of Season 1, Spencer and Alexandra were separated. The couple is my favorite duo in the series, so it is very interesting to watch as they start their journeys towards meeting each other in very different locations and conditions. I loved how their journeys balance the show's visuals with exciting scenarios. It feels like they exist in a world completely separate from what the Duttons are experiencing back home. As with Season 1, I can't help but praise the cast. The show did a phenomenal job here, and Season 2 delves even deeper into the characters after the first season set them up perfectly. One of the most intriguing players on the show is Donald Whitfield. Season 1 showed how much of a ruthless and scary character he is. However, Season 2 makes him even worse, and it's compelling to watch Dalton, who brings such wickedness to the villain with such a contained demeanor instead of using outbursts to lash out. Mirren's Cara Dutton remains the rock of the family. She takes control of adverse situations and alternates between a strong persona and moments of vulnerability that make her a compelling and well-rounded character. In interviews about the show, Mirren has talked about how co-star Harrison Ford had a change in his acting in the past few years, and it opened a new door to his inner feelings. That statement could not be more correct. After an outstanding performance in Season 1, Ford chews up the scenery every time he appears in Season 2. Jacob puts his life on the line to help his family, which allows Ford to deliver emotional performances throughout Season 2's first few episodes. I'd be remiss not to mention Brandon Sklenar as Spencer Dutton and Julia Schledfer as Alexandra. Separated at the end of Season 1, the characters must each find their way back to each other in Montana, just like they promised. Sklinar's performance as Spencer is nuanced, with the beast of a man displaying a lot of heart. As for Schleifer, she shines in some of the season's most dramatic moments. 1923 Season 2's start is sublime. In the dust-streaked twilight of the American West, a storm always brews. Not just in the skies over Montana, but in the veins of the Dutton family, whose legacy rides the edge of survival like a horse at full gallop. 1923, the Yellowstone universe's most haunting and richly textured spinoff, has returned with all the fire, fury, and emotional gravity of a thunderclap. And yet, as this season gains steam, a bittersweet longing rides alongside it. I wish we could spend more time in this world. The return of 1923 isn't just a return to storytelling. It's a return to frontier mythology, to a world etched with sacrifice and consequence. The series has once again carved its mark with unflinching violence, sweeping vistas, and characters so vividly rendered they feel like etchings in the leather of an old saddle. Harrison Ford as Jacob Dutton and Helen Mirren as Cara Dutton continue to deliver powerhouse performances, anchoring the show with gravitas and aching humanity. Ford's weather-beaten face alone tells more story than some series do in an entire season. But this isn't just a tale of cowboys and cattle. 1923 transcends genre tropes to explore a time of transition, where the Old West gasps its final breath under the weight of modernity. Taylor Sheridan, the mastermind behind the Yellowstone Empire, threads this theme through every storyline like barbed wire. Whether it's the encroachment of mining interests, the brutality of boarding schools, or the tenuous role of women on the frontier, 1923 never shies away from the raw, often brutal reality of its era. And that's what makes this return so satisfying and so maddeningly brief. Every moment in this show feels lived in, steeped in the dust of history. The cinematography paints the Montana landscape with the reverence of a John Ford classic, each scene glowing with golden light or brooding under heavy clouds. You can feel the cold in the mountain wind, smell the tension in the air before a gunfight. The music, the pacing, the dialogue, everything coalesces into a frontier fever dream that lingers long after the credits roll. It's this immersive richness that makes the show's limited format feel like a missed opportunity. With only 8 episodes per season and long waits between them, viewers are left both breathless and hungry. There's a yearning to sit longer with these characters, to watch their struggles and triumphs unfold with the kind of slow-burn development that only time can afford. Spencer Dutton's arc alone could sustain its own series. His odyssey from African hunting grounds back toward his family's endangered ranch is mythic in scale. Brandon Sklinar plays him with a wounded masculinity that's rare and compelling. The love story between Spencer and Alexandra has become one of the most surprising and affecting elements in the Yellowstone universe, a union born in chaos, hardened by adversity, and written with sweeping romanticism. Their voyage home, strewn with shipwrecks, war memories, and cultural clashes, is so gripping that when the episodes end, it feels like a door slammed shut in the middle of a sentence. Then there's Tina Rainwater, portrayed with raw brilliance by Amina Neves. Her storyline, rooted in the horror of residential schools, is one of the most devastating and necessary plots in television today. Tina's resilience in the face of unspeakable abuse is more than just a subplot. It's a cry from history, echoing the real stories of Indigenous children and families. That 1923 gives space to this truth is bold. That it gives so little time to her journey is where frustration creeps in. Sheridan is a master of economy. He doesn't waste scenes. He writes with a Hemingway-esque bluntness, where every word is a blade, every stare a duel. But sometimes, that very restraint leaves the viewer wanting. In a world this expansive, geographically, emotionally, politically, you crave more. More character depth, more thematic exploration, more time to feel the weight of what's happening. Because 1923 is doing something rare. It is telling a Western story that honors complexity over simplicity, trauma over triumph. It reminds us that the West was not won with heroism alone, but stained with blood, hardship, and moral ambiguity. And it does so through characters who carry the burden of their choices like saddlebags on a long trail ride. We need more of that. In a television landscape dominated by formulaic plots and CGI spectacle, 1923 dares to be historical, grounded, patient. But the pacing, which works so well within an episode, feels almost rushed over the course of a season. It's like sipping aged whiskey from a shot glass. You appreciate the flavor, but long for a longer pour.